This is the ZV1 and these are all the accessories that I bought for this camera. I will go over my professional use case with this camera and then talk about issues that almost made me return this camera before I found these accessories. Stick around to find out what's essential to make this a pro tool. Throughout this video, I will put up some footage that I took with this camera, just like I did in the other two videos that I made on the RX100 Mark II and RX100 Mark III. I have bought this about 3 months ago and I've been using it pretty much every day since then. It's held up very well. The display doesn't have any scratches. I actually bought this used. I'm gonna sell it used. That it does its job pretty well. I mean, it is a nice entry point for anybody that's looking to get into cameras, into video, and shooting manual with a real camera. If you're coming from shooting with an iPhone, then this is gonna be completely different. And different in a good way, different in the way that you have to study, you have to learn these settings like ISO, shutter speed, aperture. You can learn all of that hands-on with a camera like this. On top of that, you get a solid image quality at 4K, limited to 30 FPS, which in my personal use case has become a limiting factor, which is why I'm switching, but it has served me very well. And when shooting for Instagram, for example, and vertical content that you're gonna see on your phone, this does still suffice. Even with the limitation of 4K 30, you can still go to 100 frames with 1080p. Even if you had the capability of shooting 4K at, let's say, 100 frames, you wouldn't always do that. And that's because the file sizes are gonna be ginormous. And if you just film a short clip that's like 10 seconds long of somebody pouring some liquid in a glass, that is fine. That's not gonna break your drive. But if you take longer footage or just keep it on 100 FPS all the time, it's probably not gonna work. You're gonna waste so much money on storage. And with this camera, you also get this that protects against wind. You can take this off. It basically uses the chute. That's where it slides in. I'm gonna take it off for now. Just wanted to showcase that that is a possibility. I'm gonna put in this other piece that basically closes this port while you are not using it to keep it nice and clean. If you keep your display tucked in like this, you can actually open the camera or turn the camera on by opening this screen, which is a nice to have feature. If you turn it the other way, which you can turn it a lot of ways, just so I have that demonstrated, this is not gonna allow you to open the camera this way or turn it on this way. Right off the bat, once you get this camera, you might wanna start shooting 4K instantly. If you do that without changing the specific settings on this camera, you're gonna be limited to recording 5 minutes. And that's like the first issue that I've ran into when unboxing this camera. So as you can see, it doesn't turn on, but if you flip it around, close it like this, and then open it, it's gonna extract the lens like that. Back to the topic of recording 4K. You're gonna have to go into these settings and change the heat management settings to allow longer recording without shutting off once the camera gets warm, which means you can record longer than 5 minutes in 4K, which is very important to have, but you will have to go into settings and change this. And then also it is recommended to use the camera like this with the display folded out, because that way the heat can dissipate easier from the camera. The microphone quality is okay, but sometimes I've had the issue that the camera itself does get a bit loud. I mean, it's great at reducing wind noise, but if you have other sounds and noises, a microphone that you can put on the person is always better. But this is definitely better than most regular DSLR cameras or any pocket-sized cameras that are not specifically made for video. The purpose of this is to be pocketable. It is very small. You can take it with you, you can put it in your bag, you can put it in your jeans. The lens is flat, it extracts and retracts, a feature, but then again, it comes at a cost, and that is if you zoom using this lens, you will change the focal length. You just gotta adjust the ISO again, which, yeah, that's just an extra step if you wanna zoom. But for me, for example, I never really used the zoom. I either got closer or farther away. That's also why I'm using a prime lens right now. For me, very important was also to have this right here, and that is audio in. That was super important to have for me because I'm using an external microphone to record, and with the pocket-sized cameras that I've used before this, there was no 3.5 millimeter input, and that was very annoying because I had to record audio to my phone and then sync it up. Wasn't impossible, but was annoying. Coming back to the 1080p 100 frames a second, which would be 4 times slow motion without any AI frame generation, 4K clean 4x slowed down. The stabilization in itself could be a chapter for itself because it does crop in, and this is fairly cropped in already. But if you use the active stabilization, it's gonna crop in even more. And depending on what you do get two modes of, I'm gonna go behind the camera and actually show this. As you can see, you do get the active mode, which is pretty good at stabilizing. If you do the ninja walk, you can get away for most shots without a gimbal. Getting a clean shot without a gimbal, just camera, is pretty cool. But as you can see, it does crop in quite substantially. If you do have a gimbal, I should say, do not use this mode. Just turn all the stabilization off and use the gimbal. It does work pretty well. The standard mode is pretty cool. And also I found if you use the active mode with a gimbal, not a gimbal, with a tripod, you're gonna have a way smoother pan or tilt if you are looking to do that. But again, it comes at the price of cropping the image. And maybe I should be more detailed here. It does stabilize, but it's mostly useful for micro jitters. Like if you hold the camera and it looks like it's stable, it might still be a bit jittery, and that is canceled out pretty well with the active stabilization. If you're running, you're not gonna get good footage, but if you again do the ninja walk, for example, this can deliver a very good result. To transition to some of the pain points I've had with this camera. Battery life, that's probably one of the first things you're gonna hear when looking up a review of this camera. It's gonna tell you that the battery life is trash, and I can kind of agree, but there's a really easy fix, and that is no reason not to buy this camera. It uses these small batteries, NP-BX1 batteries, super small, don't last very long. If I only had one battery, I wouldn't last a whole day or shooting with that. But what I did do was on Amazon, I got this charger with 3 extra batteries. And with 4 batteries, you can go a full day of shooting. I wouldn't say full days because I don't do full days, but let's say like a full shoot of 2 to 3 hours, continuously getting shots is fully possible with 4 batteries. And I might even have some batteries left over. It's gonna make your life a whole lot easier. Definitely would recommend this as the #1 purchase. The next issue I've had with this camera was this mount for tripod, gimbals, anything that would use this port. What it does is even if you use a very small head of a tripod, this is gonna block everything. You cannot access the SD card or battery. So what you're gonna have to do is unmount everything and then mount it again. And that just is very annoying, took a lot of time. So what I did was I've bought this small rig adapter. It was very cheap. Again, slap it on here. I have a video on this small rig cage on my channel too. If you want to see that, I will have it linked here. But for now, let's look at this. You get a lot more possibilities where you can mount your tripod. It's like insane how much possibilities you get. And you can access the battery as well as SD card. Get this out to show you. You can get this out super easily without taking the cage off. So I pretty much never took this cage off. You get mounting points up here, on the side. Basically what I did was I've had the gimbal mounted to here, the quick release plate. I've mounted a different plate on this side, which basically allowed me to film portrait videos on the tripod, which is an extra benefit of this small rig cage, because you get to film vertical videos with this on tripods natively without having to have a fancy tripod. Definitely goes to #2 on the rankings. Very easy to install. Again, you can check out the video I made on that. I'm not gonna go into like microphones because that's like not special for this camera. The final accessory I would go over in this video, RS3 Mini. I've made videos on this too. They are gonna be released soon. You can mount this camera on here horizontally or vertically. Both ways work, with or without the small rig cage, but the cage is a nice benefit or nice addition because it adds a bit more weight. This camera is very light and this gimbal is designed to handle more weight. One thing that I'll tell right here is that if you want to use this gimbal with this camera, you're gonna have to balance it while the lens is out. That is important because yeah, the weight distribution significantly shifts when the lens is closed or open. That's something to keep in mind, but again, I have a full video on that too. So if you want more information on that, you can check it out on my page. This gimbal, very, very nice, especially if you use this in combination with the ZV1. Do not use the stabilization here, just put it on here, turn everything off, and you will get super smooth shots with these two. So I highly recommend this combination. If you buy this used, you can save so much money, and I mean, even new, brand new, for the value it holds, super awesome. Would highly recommend this as well. I will have links to Amazon in the description if you want to check it out brand new. But again, if you want to save some money, just go on eBay and maybe you can find a good used one. And I would spend a bit more for it to be in good condition. But again, you can still save a bunch of money that way. So bonus feature, something I've just noticed is that you do get this shoe adapter thingy down here as well. So if you want to store anything down here or mount anything down here, you can. Obviously, this doesn't make any sense because the microphone is up here, but you could, in theory, store something down here. Those were the top 3 things that I bought for this camera, and that made this camera super, super useful. I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, I'm gonna film an update video. If you don't want to miss out on that, make sure to subscribe. But I think this covered the most important point. And if you want to see more Sony content, make sure to subscribe. And right here, you can see a video that YouTube thinks you will like.